know, there was some
And
fun story about the birthplace that you told me some interesting things about when babies were born. And of
oh,
course, Richard
they
was born in that house. What was that story?
well, that they were put in the no crib available. And is that what we're asking about? Yeah, because it wouldn't have been room for one anyhow. So they pulled a drawer out of the little built-in buffet and put a little cushion in there, and the babies they slept very nicely in there and were safe. They couldn't climb out.
See, those are the good old
So
days when babies used to sleep
yeah,
in
if
drawers.
you go up to if you go through the library, why yeah, that you the museum, you'll see the where the china and there wasn't much china. That was a mixture too, but of silverware, flatware, and that drawer. Well, that's what where the babies would be put.
It's so cute.
Jessamine West told me that's exactly where they would put them because she visited many times.
And who is?
Jessamine, oh, she was a cousin that wrote a lot of books and magazine stories. Yeah, oh, she was an author.
That's
I
great.
forget how many things she wrote.
Very nice. I think there's a park named after her in Yorba Linda,
Yeah, that's
California.
exactly right.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, since Don and Dick were close in age, did they share any fun stories about the birthplace? Did they have some fun games they'd like to play?
Oh, well, all they did pretty much was climb a tree or dig a hole. I mean, they didn't do much playing. They didn't like go swimming, learn to go swimming, or be on a baseball team.
Well, they worked very
Dick
hard.
Dick kind of tried the sports, but it just didn't work. He just was not, he just didn't enter too much.
Yeah, and there was a story about the desk. What about the desk upstairs that you shared with me about studying upstairs?
Oh, well, they put Don, there's a little replica of the house, and it shows the upstairs, and it's labeled Dick's, or Don's desk and Dick's, and all, and they had to do their studying up there. But Dick was found often, he loved the National Geographic as a child. That was his favorite magazine. I know that.
No, that's
And
great. Yeah, because I know at the museum in Yorba Linda, California, the house is original, but we're not allowed to go upstairs because the
yeah,
stairway is only
yeah.
22 inches wide.
Oh, and did you know about the third step up?
No, tell me about the third step. I love secrets.
There's
We
a
won't
little
tell
hinge.
anyone.
There was a little hinge on one of the steps, and if you lift it, it was Grandpa's safe. That's where he kept his important papers.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we won't tell anyone. That's a secret. So everyone, the third step. I like
think
that idea.
Yeah, so I think you can see pretty well if you happen to look for it.
That's great. Now, did they do that a lot in those days? Use a step for a safe?
I don't know.
I like that idea. So Hannah and Frank Nixon moved in 1912, 1922 actually, then to Whittier, California. And what did they open up? A gas station and a market there. Did Don and Dick ever share stories about that market and
Not
when
really.
they were working? And did we speak about their favorite foods? I forget now. See, at my age, I forgot. Did they have favorite foods?
They'd eat anything.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Except Dick really liked a pot roast with mashed potatoes and gravy. That was his favorite. And he liked apple pie. Most men do.
And who made the apple pie?
Well, don't look at me.
Well, let's talk about the very exciting thing because we're very thrilled, like I said, to have you here today. And you really are a legend because the preservation of the birthplace. Now, tell us about being on the board of directors. You were the only lady. How did that
I
come
just sat
about?
there and listened. But, I didn't understand half of what they were talking about, but I enjoyed being there.
This was January 13, 1969. How many men were on board? On the board of
There were
directors?
10, I think, on the board,
Okay,
fully.
we have the list. We'll share the list, the board of directors, and you were one lady. And you had one story I thought was cute. When you'd meet sometimes, where would you meet?
Oh, well, either at McDonald's or, right in the dentist's office. Yeah.
Very nice. And I know you said something to me. You always remembered having what? What kind of dish? Your favorite dish at McDonald's?
Oh, I never had a favorite dish. It's just that we practically always ordered there's a mac that had egg and bacon in it.
McMuffin?
McMuffin, yeah, I think that was it.
Going back, I forgot to ask you about the house. When growing up, special occasions, Hannah Nixon, how would she celebrate birthdays or holidays
We
for the
always
Nixon
went,
boys?
to, for the holidays, was Grandma Millhouse, and that was up on in Whittier. And the house is still there. It's been moved back from the boulevard, but it's behind that shopping center. And then birthdays, that was just sort of invited to the house.
You had a cake. Was there always a birthday cake? Any
Oh,
special
sure. Oh,
flavor?
sure.
All right, thank you. And
Yeah.
then let's go back to a little bit about now politics. And I know, what were you doing, or when did you find out that your brother-in-law was president of the United States of America? What was that like? Where were you?
Well, you know, again, I knew him so well, it was just like, big deal. I mean, it was, of course, and I was very proud, and I still am.
I know, and you
And
always
just
shared he was
don't-
always your brother-in-law, no matter
Right,
what.
and I said,
President or not
no,
president, you
no
loved him
use,
anyway.
no use saying anything against him in front of me. I said, I happen to know him. I feel I know him well, because he would work on his speeches. And he, as I said, would be in there on time for dinner because he wanted it for. But before that, sometimes he would be in, and he'd strip down, and on a hot day, just be nice and cool. And he's undershorts and shirt, and he'd start to write. And then, see, that's how he planned his speeches, by the thinking of putting the notes down and then writing it out, and then he had it here, and he'd throw the papers. I said, I wish I had a penny for every paper I burned. In those days, you went out to the incinerator with any of your trash, you know, and never once thought about how important it could be. I just, well, I didn't think, that's all.
Well, that's so cute, but
Sorry about that. I am, really.
I think it's so cute that no matter what you said, that he was your brother-in-law, whether if he was vice president or president or senator,
That's-
he was your brother-in-law, and you
that's
loved
right.
the Nixon family as for that.
Well, it's like Eddie now. You know, Eddie comes quite, not as often as he did because of his wife, which is so sad. But Ed, he's been to our house a lot and stayed, and just we've always enjoyed him a lot too. Yeah.
The politics, and so you were saying about, and you must, I'm sure many of the viewers out there would like to know. Now, you were at the White House, Clara. You confess up to us now. Did you sleep in the Lincoln bedroom when you were at the White House?
No, across the room in the Queen's bedroom. Yeah.
Well, look, but see, you
Oh,
are a
and
queen.
oh yeah, and I had Donald all propped up this first night. I put fancy pillows behind him, and oh boy, just gonna take a good snapshot of the Queen's bed with Donald lying in it. I snapped and I snapped, and nothing happened. Look in it, he'd picked up the wrong Kodak at home before we left. No, there was no film in it.
Oh my goodness!
So I didn't get to catch him in bed.
But you have the favorite memory. It's always up here, which is so nice. You have the memory of it. What about the other thing you shared with me that was so incredible? You actually met a few presidents, I think, when...
Oh, well, there again, I mean, I just, that was just a friendly gesture. I didn't give it a big deal. I really didn't.
It's cute.
But I can look back now, and sure, he touched me. No, no. At one of the inaugurals, it was on a Sunday, and they didn't have the parade, on a Sunday, so the next day. So, but anyway, but they had invited the Nixon family and the Eisenhower family, because they had to swear a president in just for the one day, and that was Eisenhower. And so they had invited us for breakfast, but to go to church first, then come into the White House, and the Nixons all lined up, and the Eisenhower family too, and then Ike and Mamie came down the line shaking hands. Well, President Bush shook my hand and looked down at me, and he said, have you had breakfast yet? And I said, no. He says, he took me by the arm and says, come on, let's go eat. And took me into the East Room, and they had a nice spread there for us. So
That's an incredible...
it was, well, yeah, now that I think about it, at the time it was a nice gesture on his part, I didn't think about the heaviness, importance.
the great memories of in the White House and now in politics. And I have to say that President Nixon, when he was forced to resign, August 9th, 1974, must have been an incredible, horrific time for the entire family. So sad. How did you all handle that?
Accepted it, there it is, and don't dwell on it, and because we know what he's like, we know him, and so we don't have to listen or read anything about him because it wouldn't make any difference. We know.
I think that's what's so incredible about the Nixon family, the incredible love and the strength that they bound together. And with that inspiring thought of family and sticking together in faith, I'm sure there's a lot of young viewers out there that are watching this right now and maybe considering going into public life, right? Clara, what advice do you have to the young viewers about going into politics?
Well, I think it's very necessary that we need some good young people interested in politics and study it well.
Very good.
We'll leave out the other part.
That's okay. It's really good, Clara. And I want to thank you so very, very much. I find you're a very incredible lady, very outstanding,
really
very
not.
young lady
No, but
at your
thank
age
you.
for sharing this legendary, very modest. And as you're ending in this, you promised me you would share a beauty secret because you're such a beautiful lady. With all us viewers out there, we want to know what your secret is.
She's quite entertaining, isn't she? You?
Well, thank you, Clara Jane Nixon.
Come on.
And this is Darlene Sky signing off today from NPN News, Nixon Perspective News. Thank you. Upward and onward. Bye. Have a nice day.